everybody, today's video is called Back to Basics. I'm going to do a really simple, right back to the beginning type of style of Pilates or just general lumbo-pelvic stability exercises, reminding you all of the things we may have talked about a long time ago or for some of the newer patients that we've talked about more recently. First things first, of course, tummy muscles. So we have two layers within our stomach. The deeper ones are the ones we try and activate, transverse abdominis, as opposed to always using the more superior ones, the abdominals or the six-pack muscles. So as we do the exercises, we try really hard to be thinking about drawing in gently with our stomach muscles or pulling our belly button in towards our spine, rather than feeling as though we're going to push everything out, which is a sign that the outside muscles are working. The other part of this is, of course, that as we're laying on our back doing our exercises, we're conscious of the spine or the position of neutral to the floor. So to talk you through those steps, let's come and lay down on our mats. So beginning with the neutral spine, if you think about your pelvis and your lumbar spine and the floor, I want you to gently tuck back as far as you can comfortably, so you're putting more pressure onto the floor. Then roll forward as far as you can comfortably, so you're taking lots of pressure off the floor, and then come back for me and settle about halfway between those 2 points. I like to describe this position as having a small cave in our lumbar spine. It's certainly not large enough for us to push our hand under, but we shouldn't feel as though we're pressing heavily into the ground as we do the exercises. The cave itself, imagine that we've got a butterfly sitting in there. So as you're doing the exercise, you're pushing into the floor, you'd be squashing your butterfly. As we're doing the exercises, if you find yourself arching too high off the floor, then of course your butterfly would fly away. And we also need to be aware that we're not crumbling the cage to one side or the other, or shifting our hips from one side to the other. To help with getting that position right, let's take our hands and just place them up onto our hip bones or our pelvis. So what we should basically feel is across hip to hip. Imagine it's like a builder's level. And what I want you to do as you're laying there for me now is just tilt again. So tilting back, tilting forward, and then settling in the center, aware that we're not leaning our weight too much one side to the other. So now as we begin to do our movements with our legs, I want you to keep thinking about your neutral position or your cave. And I also want you to concentrate on pulling your tummy muscles in, not pushing them out. So the first movement we're going to practice is bent knee fall out. So what I want us to do is keep one leg still and really easily just glide the other knee out to the side and then bring it back in. Now as you're doing this sideways rock through the knee, keep thinking about pulling your tummy in. A little bit of a clench of the glutes isn't a bad idea. Be aware of the neutral. So it's no good if as you're doing this motion you're going too far and your pelvis is rolling and twisting. The idea is to just move as far as you can control. Might be small, you might be able to go quite a long way out and bring it back. We're just going to do 10 on each side, slowly moving in and out, keeping the other leg nice and still, pulling in low with the tummy muscles, conscious all the time of that little caved position, not squashing our butterfly. And then of course changing for the other side, so squeezing the glutes a little bit, pulling in that tummy muscle, moving the knee sideways out, drawing it back to the center, keeping the other leg nice and still, hands on the pelvis, conscious of neutral, so just being aware that our hips and our lower back aren't rocking and rolling around too much as we move our leg. And as I said, about 10 on each side for me. The next motion we're going to do is a single leg lift. So all this is taking one foot off the ground and then placing it back down again. We're going to alternate this one, so it's more functional to walking. Left leg, right leg, like we're taking steps. As we're moving, again, we're thinking about drawing our tummy muscles in, so trying not to push the belly out. Keep thinking pulling in. And we're also aware still of our cave. It's tempting with this one to kill your butterfly or squash him, so make sure you've got that little bit of lightness through the lumbar spine. Hands on the hips just to help give you feedback, so the legs aren't, or hips aren't, dipping too much from side to side. After we've done 5 of these on each side, we're going to keep the leg up. And now with this leg, we're going to do an extension. So I just want you to gently stretch your leg away, nice and low to the floor, and then bring it back to the tabletop position. The same leg is going to do this 5 times before we change for the other side. Again, Go back to thinking about drawing your tummy muscles in. Go back to thinking about your cave. Keeping those two things in your thoughts as you do your motion in and out. So as we're moving our leg, and then gently placing the foot down, changing for the other side, stretching the leg away, drawing the leg back in, 5 repeats of the leg, hands onto the hips, thinking about the cave, thinking about drawing in with the tummy muscles. Well done. And let the foot gently rest. So we're going to go back now into knee lifts, but we're going to add the second knee. So we're taking one foot off the floor, pulling in with the tummy muscles, lifting the second leg up to join. Gently put the first leg down and then the second leg down as well. So this is a fairly basic exercise for some of you, I know, but I really want you to concentrate on your control. So no pushing of the belly out, no losing the position of neutral spine. Be very conscious of that imaginary butterfly underneath your lower back. Please don't squash him, but also keep him trapped there by not letting him fly out if we arch our back too high. And then the other side leading, so lifting 1, lifting 2, resting 1, resting 2. Always thinking about the tummy. 1 and 2, resting 1 and 2, lifting 1 and 2, resting 1 and 2. If this starts to feel too hard for you, just go back to lifting one leg up at a time and then putting it back down. That's fine. Well done. Now if we take our hands down to our side, the next motion we're going to practice is just an overhead arm. So both arms lifting, moving back over the head slowly as far as you're comfortable to, and then both arms returning back down to your side. Again, the cave is really important. It's tempting when we do overhead arms to overextend our back and create a huge gap underneath here. So we're just trying to keep ourselves grounded without squashing our butterfly. For some of you, this might feel a bit too simple, so you're very welcome to take our knees from the rested position to holding in tabletop. So if we take one up first, then lift the second to join, keeping the knees and feet in the air, now pulling the arms both over the head and drawing them back down to the side. So we want to do about 10 overhead arms, stopping where you're comfortable to, and then bringing them back down to your side. Thinking about the butterfly, watching that the back stays or maintains its neutral position, keeping on pulling in with those tummy muscles. And again, if holding the legs in the air is a little bit too tiring, you're welcome to bring your feet back down and just do them with your feet at rest. Back and forth for 10 arms overhead. Well done. Now what we're going to do is take one leg out to straight and keep the other knee bent. We're going to go back to the very first one that we did, the rocking of the knee sideways. Think about your neutral. It's okay to tilt every now and then if you kind of lose yourself and wonder where that position is. Do a rock forwards and back and then settle again in the middle. This time with one leg staying straight, the other leg bent, we're going to just very gently do 5 more knee rotations. This time as the knee goes in and out, the other leg stays straight, being aware that that leg that's out straight doesn't get lazy. We want our toes to be pointing up. We don't want to drop that foot out to the side. So keeping that foot nice and square. Just doing 5. Thinking about pulling the tummy in again, squeezing the glutes a little bit with this one. Helps to give us stability. And then gently bringing that leg from bent back to straight. Changing for the other side. And 5 again. As the knee goes sideways in and out, we're just very conscious of our pelvis, not rolling from left to right with the movement of the leg, and conscious of this straight leg not dropping out to the side, keeping those toes or foot pointing straight up. Well done. Bringing knees back to bent. Last but not least, we're going to do a little opposite arm and leg lengthen. So the simplest version of this is to just very gently slide the foot along the floor as you move your opposite arm out to over the head, keeping this all nice and neutral and drawn in, of course, and then slide that back. If sliding feels a little bit easy, which for most of you it will, just take it for a lifted foot instead. So just very gently stretching the arm and leg away, and then bringing the arm and leg back in. Alternate sides with me again for this one, so it's more functional to walking, stretching away and pulling back in. And again, we want to be conscious of not overextending our back, creating too large a gap underneath here as we reach the arm overhead. And we want to also be conscious of not pushing too hard into the floor and squashing our butterfly. So we're going to do 5 of these on each side. Again, find neutral position before you begin, reaching back and in. Now you'll notice how slow I'm doing all these exercises. I want you all to slow down with me for this video. It's all about taking it back to basics. The difficulty might be low, but going slow does actually make it harder and more fatiguing on our muscles. Let's do 1 more on each side together. Good work. So that was a basic little set of exercises for you to do. A lot of you may have done those with me right at the beginning and not for a while, and some of you guys still do them for me most weeks. The idea is to get you thinking about the pulling in of the tummy, thinking about this neutral spine position as we move against the floor. Of course, making sure we go slow so we are focusing on those things and not holding our breath. It's been nice talking to you all again. I hope you're well, and I will see you again soon.